lost all the speed as he went through the 360 turn and finds himself out of contention. And this is the World Championships that he wanted to win above all. He's got 3 to his name already, but it's not going to happen today in Konigssee. 50.44 the time for Hackl on the first run, the 32-year-old veteran and most successful luge athlete ever, having all sorts of problems. And once again, another bad mistake by Hackl, pushing just a bit too hard. And this is even worse than we saw on the first run. Well, he lets the sled go, and that's probably a wise decision. Get yourself out of the run as quick as possible, but a massive disappointment. The first run was bad, the second one was absolutely disastrous. And George Hackl will make his way down to the finish once he's recovered. So very despondent George Hackl, working his way down to the bottom. Any excuse, he says, and he'll grab anyone he can, but his best chance, I feel. He really has improved this year, and he's a man who's famous for his second run charges, so just watch out for this performance. 59, and he's well inside that. 59.427, already 500ths taken out of Margreiter, and Jens Müller looks as though he may well continue this trend of changing the lead with each runner. Now 700ths inside, he's increased it by 2. 100th of a second, representing little more than 20 centimeters. 0.186, he's cruising down this run. This is a great run by Jens Müller, 33-year-old soldier, the bronze medalist from the Olympic Games, and he takes the lead comfortably. 1:35.819. Germany have the lead back again, and Austria will be disappointed with, and it's going to take some beating. He's 0.2 of a second ahead of Rainer Margreiter. Now the difference between Müller and Carsten Albert, who's now ready to start, after the first run was just 0.02 of a second. So Albert really is going to have to match Müller's performance, and all the work by Müller was done on the bottom section. So watch the split at halfway, and then if Müller was as good as we think he was, we may well find that Carsten Albert loses touch after the halfway marker. He's ahead at the beginning, 1700ths having been now 0.44, so a good start from Albert, a very good start indeed, as he comes down towards the Kreisel bend, and he's held on to it. 300ths, 35 thousandths ahead. Now into the Kreisel. Watch the split after this time. Has he managed to maintain that margin? And now he's slower. He's slower. Albert looked clean enough, but it really wasn't as powerful as the attack from Jens Müller. And Carsten Albert is going to find himself, well, in 4th place, coming off the sled just before the finish. It would have been second, but he fell, and he fell at just the wrong place. So Carsten Albert finishes in 4th, and he was in 1st for so much of the run. Just 4 runners to go, and Norbert Huber is the first of those for Italy. 0.18 of a second between himself and the leader after the first leg, Robert Fegg. So a little bit of work to do for Huber, world champion in the doubles event back in 1990. Steady improvement in the singles throughout the last few seasons, but hasn't really shown the form on the single luge as he has in the doubles events. But having said that, he did finish second in the World Cup last year, with consistency being his trademark, in 4th position after the first run. Currently lying at 5th in the World Cup this year. Just over 200ths ahead of the current leader, Jens Müller. Now that's a high turn from Huber, and I wonder how that's going to affect the split time. 4/400ths inside now, but that's a blow. That's where George Hackle had problems on his first and his second run. So Huber is not putting in the best of performances, and it's starting to be reflected in the time. 0.034 outside at the last checkpoint as he comes into the final bend. And Huber's going to be very lucky to take the lead. In fact, he's way outside it, nearly 1/10 of a second down. And Norbert Huber is outside. He's 4 out of 5 times he's been on the podium. And the chances are he's going to be back on the podium again today, but he's still got a bit of work to do. 0.15 down on the leader Feg after the first leg. But he has an advantage of 0.08 of a second over the current leader Jens Müller. Muller's time, and he's still inside at 0.06 inside Muller's time, but he's losing it. He's lost 200ths now. Proc is going to have to find somewhere where he can accelerate, but we know that Jens Müller was quick on the lower section. He was so clean through the Kreisel. And Proc now coming into the Kreisel, the quick left-hander before you're thrown into the 360-degree right-hand turn. 1:24, and he's outside it. He's lost time on the Kreisel, as so many have done before. Jens Müller is going to survive yet another challenge. 6 after the first run. He's now guaranteed a medal, with Markus Proc finding himself down in 3rd position. Well, that's a disappointing run for him to get a medal, and that would be a bronze one most likely. But Armin Zoeggeler is not a man to entertain those sort of thoughts. Very aggressive, always attacks, doesn't always finish, but if he does, it's nearly always a good run. Silver medal in the Olympics just 12 months ago in Nagano. And certainly the biggest threat to the Germans for today's competition. Robert Feg is the only man who's going to go after him now. Watch Zoeggeler's split time, absolutely essential. He needs to be, well, he's 1/10 of a second up. That's a remarkably quick time, considering that he had just 0.09 of a second advantage over Jens Müller when that run started. So Zoeggeler has got a good start, and he's going to need it. He must stay clean and fast all the way to the Kreisel, because the Kreisel is where Müller made up his time. Now, here he goes on the 360. Watch the split time after this. This is the one that's going to determine whether Zoeggeler can take the gold, and it looks as though he's going to take the lead, and that's a huge lead, 0.251. Now the Italian contingent of the crowd have seen what's happening, and they're excited by it, and he takes first place, 1:35.55, the combined time for Armin Zoeggeler, and he takes the lead with just one runner to go. Jens Müller guaranteed the bronze medal, may even get the silver, but there's no doubt about the current leader. Turn. If you get it right, you accelerate as you go through. If you go too high or too low, you decelerate, and you lose not just 100ths of a second, you lose 10ths of a second. Now, here's a man who knows that better than anyone else, Robert Feg, 21 years of age, junior world champion, remember, last year, now looking to make it a senior world championship title the following year. That really would be a remarkable feat, and it's a good start by Feg, very powerful indeed. Well, he's already 1/10 of a second up, and it's looking good for Robert Feg. Now, can he stay clean? He's got to stay relaxed as well. There's no doubt that the nerves will be going through his body. He's on the verge of a momentous achievement, but that's the first mistake. A little bit too high on the final S-bend. Now, can he get the line right in the Kreisel? Here he goes. Look for a steady, level line. Not too bad, but you saw him drop just slightly. He may have lost time with that. 0.013 for Zoeggeler. He's lost time, and Feg is going to find himself outside the top two, certainly with that sort of a margin. What's the time? 1:35.933, 4th place for Feg. What a disappointment. He led after the first run. He ends up without a medal at all, only just outside 3rd place. But the winner for Italy, Armin Zoeggeler. What a tremendous Kreisel, and it cost him dearly. Zoeggeler it is who takes the title.